What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Brown and this is Heresy Financial. Consumer sentiment during the month of October has fallen to the lowest level since 2011. This comes despite the stock market being at all-time highs, the real estate market being at all-time highs, the jobs market being one of the best in recent history, as employees are now starting to have the opportunity to leave their job, look for better opportunities elsewhere, as employers are scrambling to attract and retain talent. So in this video, we are going to talk about what you need to know about why consumer sentiment is so low right now. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, take a look at this chart with me that shows consumer sentiment over the past 5 years. And you can see it was consistently moving a little bit higher, and then obviously there was a big drop when COVID hit. Since then, as you might expect, there's been a big rebound in consumer sentiment as you're coming off of an extreme low. However, recently we've experienced yet another sharp drop in consumer sentiment, basically down to the lows from early 2020. So if you're looking for any clues as to why consumer sentiment is starting to drop, let's go back to the chart and look at the bottom half. Right here you see the University of Michigan's expectations for inflation. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be muted in terms of expectations because, well, let's be honest, most official expectations of inflation have been muted compared to reality, and historically they're going to be looking at official numbers. Many Americans are experiencing their own cost of living much higher increases than what the official numbers state. Even so, just taking the numbers at their word, we're seeing higher and higher inflation expectations, and you can see here there's a pretty good inverse correlation going on here between consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. In fact, when respondents were asked why they had such a negative outlook, they cited higher prices, fear of higher prices, inflation expectations as the #1 reason more frequently than any time since the late 70s. Now, I'd like to take a moment to point out the irony in one of the concluding statements in this article on Bloomberg. At the same time, households continue to spend despite concerns about higher prices and limited supply of goods. Despite? How about because of? This is exactly what happens when monetary policy gets out of control. Read a history book. Open your eyes, look around the world. We have hyperinflation happening in multiple countries around the world right now. High inflation everywhere else. This is an old story that's been repeated many times with different cultures, different countries, different times in history. Same story every time. Monetary policy gets out of control, prices start to rise, people start to lose faith in the currency and buy things at faster paces, not despite fears of prices going up in the future, but because of the fears of prices going up in the future. If I'm gonna need some peanut butter next month and I have fear that it won't be there next month or it will cost twice as much, I'm gonna buy it today. And that absolutely does spark a self-reinforcing cycle where people buy stuff now because of fears of it not being there or fears of it being more expensive in the future prompts those things to happen as demand continues to rise and pushes prices up and causes more shortages to happen. Another way to say this is that inflation starts out as a monetary phenomenon. That's how it begins, and then it evolves, it transforms into a psychological one. First they print the money, then people dump it, because once you squeeze the toothpaste, it's very hard to get it back in the tube. But if you're the Fed's barking, you don't think that inflation is a psychological problem. You also don't think that it's caused by monetary policy. You think instead that it is caused by supply chain issues, which, if that is true, what you actually think, you must feel pretty lucky that we got these supply chain issues right now, since you've been trying to cause inflation with monetary policy for years now. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.